Well, and once again, happy Thursday and Thirsty Thursday with the Crotchety Old Men Podcast. I'm your host today, Gary Smith. I'm a retired commercial real estate investment broker slash insurance agent from years gone by. Enjoying life now as a retiree, talking about ways of investing and things of that nature. Joining me in the studio also are my cohorts, my main man, Paul P.C. Clemens. He's a retired holistic physician and he specializes in herbal cures and things that not only just to cure certain ailments and diseases, but also on a preventative nature. And many times, it's our health that is our wealth. Also in the studio with me is my main man, George Crumley. George is a retired executive from telecom to real estate investing, stock investing. George has a wealth of knowledge in regards to strategic planning and estate planning. He's also currently, as a retiree, he still loves that. He's got that real estate bug, so he can still be able to help you in residential real estate. So, gentlemen, top of the day, it's Crotchety Old Men Thursday. What's up out there?
Everything's good, man. Everything is very good. It's a nice day here in Atlanta, Georgia. The sky is blue. I can see it all. It means I'm 6 foot above the ground, and everything's going well. No complaints at all. How about you, PC?
Same here, brother. You and I share the same skies, and the skies are blue. Robins are singing, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes, indeed it is. Well, guys, look here. We've been talking about things that's current and going on in the world and things. And so, one of the topics that I believe we should really engage our listeners on to this week's episode is the student loan or the student debt crisis. I mean, how's that impacting not only students in general, but how's that impacting some of the parents? That financing specifically, if you a co-signer on a student loan or whatever, what solutions? What are some of the problems going on with it? What's the story behind the story, as I like to say? So let's kind of take a deep dive into student loan debt crisis today. What do you say, guys?
Sounds like a
Yeah, sounds.
plan, man. A lot of people have issues with student loans once they get them. Um, in a lot of cases, people aren't prepared to pay for the student loans, and a lot of times, I was reading an article that talks about when that happens. Um, it's a never-ending battle to try to get your student loans. You go into default, you're gaining interest, you're paying a lot more on interest, so it's an issue.
Most definitely. And it's another thing is understanding the type of student loans. Did you know there's a difference between private student loans and federal funded student loans? For example, President Biden just pardoned so many millions in student loans, and so if you are in debt with student loans, the first thing you say is, I'm free. But not necessarily, because you have to look at the type of loan you have. There are federal loans, and those are being pardoned. Those are the ones where if you become a school teacher for 10 years or another qualified plan, they erase the remaining debt. The private loans, they don't get erased, and they continue to harass you for the majority of your life. They want to look at how much you make. They want to look at, how you want to pay it back. They want to charge you these high interest rates. It's just ridiculous. Those are the ones that we really prevent, our youth, our young adults from buying homes, buying cars, investing in the stock market. And we're really losing another, community because of the fact they're not able to prosper in these types of things like we were able to do because of the huge student private. Make sure we understand private student loans, because like I said, the government has done a lot of favorable things to put in place to reduce federal student loans. So that's the first distinction you need to make. The people understand that they need to look at the type of loan that you have. And so, for example, if you got your loan from Wells Fargo, or you got your loan from, one of these private companies, that's a private loan. That's not a federal loan. Okay. If you got it from, I can't think of the name of it. I want to say Stanford, but I'm not sure if it's Stanford. But there's some other loans out here that are federally funded. Obviously, I'm not going to say those are better, because anytime you have to get a student loan, it's not a good thing. But those, like I said, have been pardoned and have been allow us to those people to get back into the financial world. But these private loans, they continue to haunt you for the majority of your life.
Well, that's good, George. But I was reading an article myself just the other day with somewhat the flip side of what you just said. Uh, I've always somewhat been personally now speaking that the federal government is not a friend of yours, more of a fiend than a friend. All right. And to your point, when you mentioned about the president has canceled some loans, there's no reason why the president can't cancel all federal loans because number one, none of the money is coming from the Treasury or adding one red cent to the national debt. They fuel money in the trillions to stimulate the economy during the COVID situation and everything. Federal student loans, the reason that they won't cancel them all, and I think we talked about this before, it's because the interest is being earned on the $1.6 trillion of federal student debt. The federal government gets $30 billion in interest. That's the very reason why they ruled out that you cannot file bankruptcy to avoid paying that student loan. You can't get out of it from any other legal ways, whereas other mortgages and things and other bankruptcy supersedes it. You can't. You being castrated basically. Students. Oh, before I go there, and another thing to this the student loan, I call it a cartoon because the federal government, that's the double whammy on it, because not only are you paying that hard-earned principal, you're borrowing it, like you said, you can either borrow it from a private lender, even if you borrow it from a private source or what have you, you're still paying that interest. So you're paying twice. You borrow from the federal, at least you can kind of get out of that one, if in the event of hardship or what have you, or you're not having to put your houses up, whatever. But like you said, with the federal student loan, that's why they make it so easy to get them. It's a trap. And then your kids come out with a useless doggone degree, and now you're expected to pay this bad boy back as soon as you get a job. Well, heck, how much student loan can you pay back if the only job you can get is an entry-level job at Amazon driving a doggone truck?
For $11 an hour.
Thank you. So when we look at it from, I always like to say, follow the money. And anytime the federal government, as we have shared on these programs, I'm not anti-government, so don't nobody go out there and, be trying to shut us down. We're here to disperse information and ideas. But anyway, because they're anti-government. Watch those.
Here we go. We're getting crotchety. We're getting crotchety now.
We'll just shut that nonsense down right now. But again, you got to know, because we talked about this before. If 35 to 40% of your money goes out to interest, another 30 to 35 goes to the federal government. That shows you right there who you're working for. All right. So those are facts, not ours. Those are facts that are readily available to anybody care to look them up.
So we got to consider another way of thinking, is what I'm proposing at this particular.
That's so true, PC. There was a study that was done, I think it was the state of Florida, I believe it is. And as an example, their student loan debt, it exploded to where it was somewhere like $119 billion. And now that student loan debt has ballooned to a point where is that you could buy Disney World maybe 60 times over, because the student debt is now ballooned to $2 billion. That's in just one state, the state of Florida. $2 billion. Come on, man. There's too much money in it. Go ahead, George.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit upon it. It's like, okay, so what do we do? The world is changing as far as what types of jobs are out there. But if you're a student parent and you're 11th, 12th grade and you're getting ready to graduate, the first thing you have to do is you have to evaluate. Okay, what's important? And I looked online and just kind of give you an example. These are the worst paying college majors: religion, psychology, 37,000 a year; liberal arts, 37,000 a year; foreign language, 38,000; English language, 38,000; miscellaneous biological science, 38,000; leisure and hospitality, 38,000. You hear this one a lot: fine arts. I'm going to major in fine arts, $38,000 a year. So that's the first thing we have to do, is we have to examine why we're going to school. Because if you're going to school and major in liberal arts, and you're gonna bank up $150,000 in student loans, and you're only gonna make $38,000 a year. I mean, here again, you got to do the math. Okay, so that's the first thing. We have to evaluate and see what are the best paying jobs out there, and what do we want to invest. Because and they used to say that invest in your child. I think it was what United Negro College Fund, invest in your child. So that's what it is. Invest in understanding what you're going to major in. You just don't go to college, just to figure it out. Those are the old days. Well, I'll go the first 3 years, then I'll declare a major. It ain't like that no more. You got to figure out from day one why you're going. Because the other shoe on that is these junior colleges, or community colleges, we used to call them, are great. I mean, we got one here in Georgia, Kennesaw State. It's a top-notch school. You can go there for 2 years. You can get in-state tuition. If you can get the what is it, the Pell Grant. You can get the Hope Scholarship, which will pay for most of it for your first 2 years. And then you can transfer to, another school. And that right there saves you a heck of a lot of money.
We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Dr. Paul Clemens with the Crotchety Old Men Podcast. If you like what you are hearing from the Crotchety Old Men Podcast, subscribe or follow us on Google, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio podcasts. Also, look for our upcoming live broadcast on Instagram. You can also send us feedback or topics you would like to hear us discuss. Send your comments to info@thecrotchetyoldmenpodcast.com or visit our website at thecrotchetyoldmenpodcast.com for previous episodes.
We're back.
I think also is having your plan. If you got a plan, it's no different than going to get a job. You got to have a reason for why you're going there. So if you're going to college, let's say, I'm just going to use it as an example. Engineering, let's say, if that's your thing, you want to be an engineer, certainly you go there. But go with a junior college, I'm not sure if you can get an engineering degree there, but it's a start. That's where you can figure stuff out at and find out whether or not, I thought I want to be an engineer. I find out, no, I don't. I'd rather be a violinist. Okay, whatever that case may be. Then to George's point, then let's look and see what's the reality of this plan. All right, are you going to get a degree in violin playing to come out and be a teacher of violins? Are you coming out to have this knowledge to start a violin manufacturing company? Okay, to start and produce violins? Okay, do you see a market by which you can become a virtuoso in a violin? So you got different paths that, because you have this information, whether you get the degree or not, you got this information specifically if your ideology is about being an entrepreneur. Now, but you get this degree, and if that's what it's going to take for you to get a job at a violin manufacturing company, or to get a job of where they do violins, or become a substitute teacher where they're teaching violin. So not only do you have the degree, now you got what they call experience. And you couple the degree with that experience, now you have a mixture whereby now you can either use that to get either a better paying job, or hopefully create some jobs by doing that violin manufacturing, taking a finance course and finding out, hey, how do I can raise some money? I remember, hearing about taking money out of a life insurance policy. Maybe I can use that to help launch my tutorial program, whatever that might be. But I believe that junior college piece, and it's can be a 2-year program. That right there, I think, it could be a real catalyst, particularly for our African American kids, particularly for them. They should go to it keeps them local, yet independent. So
And
I
to
don't know.
and to answer your question, Gary, they do have engineering programs at junior colleges. As a matter of fact, as I was involved in engineering at GM, most of the people that were in engineering and design, CAD design, they did not go to college at all. So they're demanding you to go to college now for that particular instance, just to get qualified to do that, and it doesn't require that at all. Matter of fact, let me share this with you guys. I have a nephew who's a DJ. He has a 4-hour program, a 4-hour show in Miami, that I mean in Nashville. Then he has a 2-hour program in Miami that he does every day. And he and his mother and father had a big debate, I should say. Whereas he didn't necessarily want to go to college. He had the presence of mind before he got out of high school that he wanted to take his money and invest his money instead of going to college. Now, what did that do for him? He went to college anyway. His parents took out the loans and so forth and so on. And but in the meantime, he goes into an area of expertise where he can do something on his own, and that's what he's doing. We were taught at an early age that we go to school to get a job, and that has changed. I think the technology has offered some of that change. I think the way of thinking now has offered some of that change too, where you know it isn't necessarily anymore. As a matter of fact, that's what the argument, the theoretical argument, was between Du Bois and Carver. You know, Du Bois thought that education was the way to do it. Carver thought that practical application was the way to do it. And depending upon where you are, how you're thinking, what your plan is, both men are correct.
Yeah, I mean, those all are good points. In fact, yeah, my son did basically the same thing. He decided that he didn't want to go to college, and he's making movies in Chicago. He's doing what he's following his passion. It's a struggle, but what I notice about it is it's the same disciplines that you learn in college. And let's face it, what does college really teach you? It teaches you discipline. I went to college, 2-year degree back in the day. But you know, yeah, can I honestly say that history class or that liberal arts class really helped me. Uh, but what did help me was the discipline to get to the solutions that they put before you in the classes. So if you can get to those solutions, if you can put yourself in a position in this world, and make those contacts and network and figure out how to become disciplined, you can accomplish the same types of things without going to college. College is not, like I said, it's not the end all to everything as it used to be. There are still a lot of jobs that out there that if you're going to jump into corporate America, they're going to look at you not this on the same level if you don't have the college education. But there's ways around that. Okay. But a couple of things that you can also say as far as what are some of the solutions here. HBCUs are very good schools. Both my daughters went to HBCUs, one Savannah State, one TSU. Both of them got 4-year degrees. One daughter went on to get her master's degree and have very respectable jobs and have been able to use these degrees. What we see now, though, it's really interesting, is now that the focus is on HBCUs, now these folks are trying to say that, why, y'all getting too much credit, y'all getting too much. In fact, there was Nick Saban was talking about Deion Sanders because the fact that Deion Sanders was able to get the number one football prospect out of high school. Now he's like, he's jealous. But see, you got to share the wealth. And see what we're doing now as a group of Black folks. We're now cracking the code And now we're understanding how this money works, and we're getting it there, and we're finally getting it. And you see this backlash, it's like, well, y'all, they starting to get a little edge on us and whatnot. But hey, that's the way it should be. And it should have been like that years and years ago. But it's interesting to see the how things are translating now that people are opening their eyes to HBCUs, which I highly encourage. If you're coming out of school, high school right now, seriously look at an HBCU, seriously, because those are very, very good schools. One of the best medical schools is Mahara Medical School in Tennessee. That's a great school. There's a lot of great HBCUs out there, so that's something to look at, and definitely an alternative.
Absolutely. George, when you said that about with Coach Sanders down at Jackson, the Southern, right? Jackson, Mississippi Southern. And can you all imagine, just for a moment with me, and when you think about, and I'm going to just stick with the NFL, I ain't even going to include the NBA. But when you think about all the stellar, and I do mean stellar athletes in the game of football, from well before O.J. Simpson, you take even Jim Brown, who went to Syracuse. Imagine that if all that talent had stayed within the HBCU community, with all the HBCU colleges, we would dominate the NCAA. All those players, all those Heisman Trophy winners, all those brothers and stuff, from quarterbacks to tackles to the water boy, we would dominate. That's our human capital. What happens now? These football teams, there's not a black-owned football team in the NFL. And right now, the Denver Nuggets, or whatever they call them, Broncos, they're up for sale. And you got this disorganized, that's a whole nother podcast, disorganized groups from Byron Allen to Beyonce and Jay-Z and brothers Robert Smith. And then you got Magic Johnson over here with somebody that owns the doggone 76ers. Okay. Well, here's to my point. We have made them so doggone wealthy. And here it is now in 2021. We're struggling and scrambling and falling over each other instead of coming together to buy one football team. When there's 32 of them in America, and every doggone NFL stadium in America seats almost anywhere from 80 to 100,000 people every Sunday afternoon. We wouldn't have to be we wouldn't be begging, let us let us get in there and buy a team. We would be another competitor in the NFL. So what's my point? We have allowed all our human capital to go out to other companies, to other businesses, whether it's the NFL or the NBA and stuff, and all these others, to make everybody else wealthy but us. Everybody. We're the biggest consumers. The whole globe, the whole world wants to be near black people, not because they like us. They love us because we keep them wealthy, because we give them all our bright minds. Oh, my child goes to Harvard, or this child goes to Columbia, and they go there and we don't get a chance to see it, but they get all that racism and all this other stuff and stagnation, you name it, they overcome it. They get the degree. They feel included, but they're not. So, as I get off my rant, if we were to do exactly what that young man did, was the heck with Alabama, Southern University is going to be a competitor. And we're not saying Division II is like saying you second class. But we produce first-class citizens in the public schools when we got black teachers and black principals and stuff. The same way with the HBCUs, and it could go on and on and on and on. All we have to do is just pull that together. So we talk about solutions with colleges, though. That's what we're supposed to be talking about. What do you say, George? What's the 529 plan? How can it help?
Yeah, sometimes we get off track sometimes because, we're so passionate about what we're doing and saying. But yeah, there's a couple of different things that you can do. Before I get into that 529, I'm going to roll back around it. But I just want to kind of go back to what I was saying before, as far as educating yourself, early on, 11th, 12th grade, 10th grade, as far as what you want to do. So here's the top 10 college majors: computer science, communication, political science, business, economics, English language, and nursing. The interesting thing about both of these lists, I don't know if you notice or not, but what's missing is teachers. Teachers aren't on either one of these lists. So, how can you not have teachers on the worst or the best top 10, and you don't even have colleges or school without teachers? You know, Definitely unappreciated. But, and I know there's a lot of great teachers out here, but I just wanted to interject that information. And the thing that also is probably one of the hottest subjects out here is STEM. Get your kids into STEM. Okay, that is so important. Early age. There's a lot of classes out there. You may have to pay for them, but it's worth its weight in gold. Okay. With that said, 529s. Okay. So 529 plans are great. I've got three of them for my grandkids, and basically that allows you to save money now, for college. It used to be when they first came out is that you had to use them for that student, and you had to use them for that. But they used to make you pick, I think, three or four schools. Those things have all been changed. They can go to any school. In fact, it's been changed to such a fact, and this is the savings program, because there are two. Because Gary's going to talk about the other program. They even changed it whereas if the kid decides they don't want to go to school, they even give you options to use the money. You can use the money for yourself without a penalty. There's a couple of other options that you can use the money. So they're very good, worth investigating. 529 plans. Go check them out. What you got, Gary?
Well, the other one is the prepaid tuition portion of the 529 plan. And that plan generally allows savers to prepay for the tuition at a participating college and university. And in some cases, room and board can be prepaid as well. And so what does that do? Well, the concept is that if you pay for the tuition at today's rates, the child will be able to attend the college in the future, regardless of how much higher the tuition is at that time. And so that is the advantages of that particular plan as opposed to the college saving plan. I shouldn't say opposed to, because they both are good plans. I mean, heck, first of all, the tax benefits. Another situation is that you don't have to be a parent to do a 529. You could do it 529 for your neighbor's kid, or your hey, some orphan. Okay, it could be child in a state foster care situation or what have. It could be a myriad of things. But what we're talking about here is ways to prepare. The time to prepare for college is not when in the 10th grade. I mean, from the womb, really, the best birthday gift for a baby. I see I'm getting involved on another tangent, so stop me, y'all. Birthday, doggone baby showers and stuff. They come with trinkets and trash. I mean, how about a certificate? How about a doggone $25 or $100 thing into a 529 plan, y'all? The kid is 1 year old. They're not going to remember Big Bunny Rabbit and the daggone outfit that they can't wear until they two. Let me get off the rant. But anyway, 529 plans can be begun anytime, and the best time is sooner better than later. I'm out.
Well said, Gary. Well said. Yeah, one of the things that that's what I did with my grandkids. I think I got a 2-year-old. Well, actually, not even two yet, and I started one, and I think I put away like $20 a month or something. But I mean, you do the math: $20 a month times 18 years in the stock market and a targeted plans, because you can use stocks, mutual funds, whatever. They give you choices, just like a 401k. So yeah, by the time that they reach that age, you've got a pretty nice nest egg stashed away. So it's a way, because like you said, you think about what can I do? I stop buying toys. I really do. I tell them, give me your social security number, and I'm gonna put this money in this account. And every time they get a birthday or whenever I feel like it, but like I said, mine is automatically deducted. But when they have a birthday or whatever else, I just put maybe a little extra in there just to make sure that it's growing. But I mean, that's simpler than to go into one of these big box stores and trying to figure out what's the latest toy or what is the latest this, because there's so many other people in the family that's going to fulfill that particular thing for them. So yeah, I kind of got out of that game. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we've given you some solutions as far as, because we've talked about this college student debt, but hopefully we've also given you some solutions, some other things. And I'm gonna mention one other thing. If you have not heard of it, it's called the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. It's probably one of the largest funds for students that's available, and this is free money. Okay, they have a qualification that you have to do, and I'm not sure what that is, but they give it away every year. It's a scholarship, a full ride, and they give away millions of dollars. So if you're at that age, in that grade, 11th, 12th grade, look into the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund, because it is available, and it's millions. I don't know how many funds are out there, but this is one of the good ones, and it's out there. So please look at that one also. What you got, Gary?
All right, all right. Well, as we begin to wrap up here, here's our quote for the week. One who lacks independent thinking becomes a victim.
Peace.